Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the Talk of the Mac community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. I'm happy to welcome back from Smile Software, Mr. Greg Scown. Greg, it's great to have you. It's kind of fun to talk to you and not have Gene here to supervise us.
Hi, Chuck. It's great to be here.
So we're here to talk about TextExpander 4, and I have no problem in saying that this is one of my absolute must-have favorite utilities. I say that about a few things, not a lot though. But TextExpander is one of those things that just the more I use it, the more I find ways to use it, the more I find reasons to use it, and ways that can help save me time. And now you've turned around and just made it that much better.
Oh, that's great. That's certainly what we were trying to do.
So what's new in TextExpander 4?
So the big thing that's new are different types of fill-in snippets. So let me first explain what a fill-in is. This lets you first let's explain what a snippet is. TextExpander lets you set up abbreviations that expand into big chunks of text. So for example, I have a snippet for a reference letter. So when we bring somebody on board, we write to people that have referred them and ask them, what do you think of this person? And the fill-in snippets allow me to fill in the name of the person I'm asking and the name of the person I'm asking about and a little bit of information. And so with a very small abbreviation, mine is email ref, I get a window that pops up and has fields for the referrer, the person I'm talking about, and a couple of other things that I can just tab right through, be done with, hit OK, and pop it into my email client, or pop it into my web browser, or pop it into whatever I'm working on. So that's fill-ins in a nutshell, and then we've expanded them now to allow not just these sort of single-line fill-ins for name or surname or what have you, but also multiple-line fill-ins. So if you have a paragraph you're trying to add, pop-up menus, so maybe salutation or in position name, or in fact, one of the more interesting geeky uses I've heard recently is database table. So you have 20 database tables, and you can put them all into a pop-up and have that pop-up appear easily when you're trying to work on your database, which I could see could be handy. And then we also added optional text sections. So let's say you have sort of boilerplate, and then maybe someone's behind on their billing and maybe they're not, and so you can only include that section when they are behind on their billing and get that sorted out.
This is another one of those things where the more I think about it, the more I can see uses. But it sounds like you're almost taking this into another dimension where I'm going to have more options than I've ever had before to really customize it. And the big question I guess I have, Greg, is how difficult is that customization? Because we all know that with sophistication comes complexity.
Sure, and we tried to go the opposite direction with TextExpander 4. We tried to make something that previously was complex even easier. We had fill-in snippets in TextExpander 3, but you had to understand the syntax and you had to do some typing, and they weren't really that easy to use. And so they were probably limited to mostly power users. In TextExpander 4, when you add a fill-in, you get a little popover. And the little popover window shows you all the options, and you just fill them out. And then once you move on to typing in the rest of your snippet, the popover window goes away. And then, even better, if you click in the snippet, in the fill-in syntax, the popover comes back. So you never really have to learn the gory details of the syntax of how to specify a fill-in field. So, with this new power, we've actually made it simpler to specify, and we've tried to broaden the appeal of these fill-in snippets to our entire audience.
Okay, Greg, so let me make sure I have this right. So you're saying that if I am about to go and I don't know, maybe go to Amazon or somewhere, and better yet, go to the Smile website, and I'm going to purchase directly from you. Are you saying the TextExpander is running in the background and it learns as I fill in, or do I need to prepare this in advance separately?
No, TextExpander is not learning in the background. You do need to prepare these fill-ins. So they're good for common responses. People use them for tech support, for acknowledging emails that they receive. But then people do fairly sophisticated things with them as well. So, for example, they might do Amazon affiliate links for their blog, or they might do as I said before, database tables, so like a listing of what database tables they're working on. But as also, I use them for a referral letter, and so I have my template for a referral letter, and I only have to type in a couple things instead of having to type the entire letter over and over again every single time I type it. So yes, you do have to put in a little bit of effort to set them up to begin with, which is true of all your abbreviations and your snippets in TextExpander, but that effort comes back to you, 10, 100, 1,000-fold.
The thing I found with TextExpander is it took me a little while to sort of remember what it could do for me. I had to recognize the things that I do over and over, the things that I repeat, the things that I reuse. And once I thought about that, that's when TextExpander, at least for me, really took off. It's not that I didn't know its capabilities. It's just I didn't know what I was doing that it would benefit me. And once I spend a little time thinking about it, it's like, holy cow, I can text expand this and text expand that, and I now have a ridiculous number of snippets, and I'm probably certainly not a TextExpander power user.
Sure, and that's a pretty common situation. We've tried to do a couple things in TextExpander over the years, and most recently in TextExpander 4 to help. The thing we did in TextExpander 4 is we've added basically a snippet creation assistant that launches the first time you launch TextExpander and takes you through, these are a few things that you might want to do. And so it queries your address book entry, so the me card in your address book, and fills that in, and it says, okay, maybe you want your email address, maybe you want your phone number, maybe you want your home address, maybe you want a signature, maybe you want some sort of boilerplate, and takes you through some of the different things that you can do with TextExpander so that right away you see something that's relevant to you that you can do. And then over the years, we've also had in the TextExpander menu bar item, there's been the ability to create a new snippet from your clipboard or from your selection. So while you're working along, you don't have to think so much about switching or going somewhere else. You can just say, oh, all right, something I just stuck on the clipboard, I want to make a snippet. Maybe I'll go back later and edit it in TextExpander, but I want to capture it while I'm thinking about it. And you can also define hotkeys for that stuff as well. So there are lots of ways to get your snippets in and then become more proficient with them over time.
And the fact that we have to educate people here. I know a lot of the audience already are TextExpander users. For that percentage that isn't, though, this is something that can control AppleScript, trigger AppleScripts. You can handle graphics with it, I believe, as well. You can just do so many things with TextExpander. Again, you have to think about the things that you use or do on a regular basis, and the odds are that TextExpander is going to be able to fit in there somewhere.
Sure, and even the most simple things can be really fantastic. So, for example, TextExpander is not short. It's, 11 characters. And so if I type capital T, small x, I get TextExpander, and I do that all day long. And so, it seems very simple, but it's a big savings over time. And, even my email address is greg@smilesoftware.com. Well, I just type EGS, and there we go. And then the final one that's probably too amusing is that Philip, Jean, and I all share snippets. Capital H, capital J is hi, Jean and Philip, comma. And, so the pleasantries in our email even come from TextExpander. And we all know that this is true, but we would have done them anyway, and we just don't have to type as much.
And those are perfect examples. I think that's the other trap, is you think, oh, I really need to figure out something large, and you don't. It can just be a word or two. It's almost like, if you think about it in those terms, it's almost like developing your own personal shorthand.
Sure, and some users go way out there on that, and have very elaborate shorthand and lots of detail. And my understanding is that people who do things like medical transcription or people in the legal industry have these snippets that they sort of already have. In fact, you can import into TextExpander from a comma delimiter or a tab delimited text file. So if you have a text file with like 2 columns, snippet, abbreviation in one column and snippet in the other, you can just pull those into TextExpander, and so that's another way that you can get up to speed really fast.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So that I can actually, I've got to think about this. So if I have maybe a a dictionary of medical terms, of legal terms, of insurance terms, of whatever, I could spend all day long or have somebody help me create that table and then pull it in, and it's done.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't even need any help. I mean, basically, if you had it in like Excel, in 2 columns, and you save it as a comma separated or a tab separated file, you just open the file with TextExpander and it'll import it.
Wow. See, there are all these little tricks, and it's. I know you maintain a lot of them on the website, but sometimes it's just talking to you or talking to another TextExpander user that it expands your mind as to what can be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Greg, the other thing I wanted to make sure we touched on is the way to upgrade or to get TextExpander 4, because TextExpander 4, TextExpander 3, I think it was 3, went into the Mac App Store. TextExpander 4 has stepped back out of the Mac App Store a little bit.
Sure, I can explain the situation. So Apple have introduced a technology called sandboxing. And it's a security technology designed to ensure that your applications declare what they do and then do no more than that. And that actually helps users ensure that their system is safer and more secure, and it makes it much more difficult to write an exploit or a virus or something along that line. TextExpander operates across the system, and it observes your keyboard input and filters it. There's little difference between it and a keylogging application with malicious intent. Now, obviously, TextExpander does not have malicious intent, but to a system technology such as sandboxing, it is impossible to discern the difference between one and the other. Fortunately, Apple do have technologies coming in Mountain Lion called Developer ID and Gatekeeper, and those ensure that you got your application from the source. So, we've registered with Apple. Apple know that it's us, and we sign TextExpander. And so, when you install TextExpander, your Mac knows that TextExpander came from a source that have a relationship with Apple and that Apple trusts. So, there are technologies to protect your security. It's just that TextExpander can't participate in the much more restrictive sandboxed world. So, to that end, we have provided upgrades for people who are on the Mac App Store. They simply download TextExpander 4, and it will read their Mac App Store license, and if they purchased on or after January 15th, then it'll just run. And if they purchase before that, then it'll offer them an upgrade for $15. And we do exactly the same for our direct purchase customers.
So TextExpander 4 is therefore not in the App Store.
TextExpander 4 is not available in the Mac App Store.
Okay, we want to be very clear on that. But whether you bought it in the App Store or out, you can still get the benefits of TextExpander 4 just by doing what you said. Run the upgrade. It will read the license and upgrade it within the right time period, or charge me the upgrade fee, which I think is $15. Is that correct?
That's right, exactly.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not going to charge you automatically. You have to agree and give your credit card information and everything. Please don't be worried about that.
Oh, yeah, good point. Especially after we say the words malicious intent anywhere in the conversation.
Well, you can look at it this way. There are keyloggers that are on the side of angels and keyloggers that are on the side of devils, and we happen to be on the side of angels. So.
I can see your halo, Greg. Yeah. Okay, so the question has to be then, what happens with TextExpander 4.1 or 4.5 or 5 or whatever? Do you anticipate, you think, being able to go back to the App Store once we get some of those other things? And what does this do to that automatic update thing that we seem to love so much in the Mac App Store?
Sure. Well, it's impossible to predict where Apple will go in the future, I think, on this. It's a work in progress, and developers are, I think, fairly supportive of the technologies of impact on the end user. So if things were to change such that it were possible for TextExpander to appear back in the Mac App Store, then certainly we would consider that. But we don't know, and it doesn't seem like it, honestly. So we've had to do the best that we can under the circumstances, and we've tried to ensure that we do the best for our customers as well.
And Greg, we need to be very clear here that not being in the Mac App Store is a bad thing. It just means that under some of these new security guidelines and that Apple's instituting, and everybody's feeling their way along here. I have a lot of favorite utilities that are not in the Mac App Store. They're not going to be in the Mac App Store simply because they do things that at the moment Apple hasn't found a way to really validate or be comfortable with this very secure, very safe consumer environment they're trying to create. So this doesn't mean that you guys are cheating or doing anything bad or compromising anybody's security. It just is a matter of, if we want TextExpander to work its magic, we're going to have to step outside the Mac App Store.
Yes, and you had asked earlier about the updates, and so TextExpander has all along, I mean, I think since TextExpander 2, had the Sparkle automatic updating based in. And so it's an opt-in preference. The second time you launch TextExpander, it will say, would you like me to check automatically for updates on a regular basis and let you know if one's available? And it's also, an opt-in type technology, so it comes up, it says, this is what's new, and it gives you a button that says, would you like to install it or not? It's not all that different than the automatic updating in the Mac App Store, except that that's all consolidated in one place. I grant that that's extremely convenient, but at least anytime you're running TextExpander, it will check for an update and it will offer that to you if it's available.
Yeah, I feel the need to bring this up. We're all used to the Sparkle kind of updates, or probably the majority of our audience is, for things not purchased in the Mac App Store. But we're also very quickly getting used to that thing in the App Store where, okay, updates available 2, 4, 6, whatever. You hit the button and it's there, and you don't even really see it happen other than that process. So it just means we're stepping not backwards, but just sideways out of the App Store ecosystem. But again, for TextExpander, I'll jump through plenty of hoops to keep this functionality because I don't want to live without it. So, $15 for the upgrade. What is the regular price for TextExpander 4?
The regular price is $34.95, and that's the same as it was for TextExpander 3 as well.
And just in case I haven't asked it exactly this way, Greg, is TextExpander now no longer in the App Store under any version? Is that correct?
Well, no, that's not true. Right now, TextExpander 3 remains available on the Mac App Store. We're navigating whether it makes sense to leave it there or not, and there doesn't seem to be any harm in that. We'll certainly give free licenses to TextExpander 4 to anybody who purchases on the Mac App Store, again, from January 15th on, never mind from now on, but there seems to be little harm in leaving it there. It's a way that some people discover it for the first time. And we have sort of an open discussion with Apple as to how we might navigate notifying users who are there and what have you. I mean, fortunately, a large number of the users of TextExpander on the Mac App Store sign up for our tips list, and so for those people, we were able to notify them directly.
I'm glad I asked it that way. I was not certain about that, given the upgrade and the 4 off and 3 on, and so that's good. And that means if somebody makes a quote-unquote mistake and buys it from the Mac App Store, they still just have to jump through one little hoop to get up to the current version of 4.
Download and launch. That's it. Exactly.
Perfect. So the website is smilesoftware.com for TextExpander, and of course, let's not forget PDF Pen, PDF Pen Pro. What else am I missing, Greg?
PDF Pen for the iPad.
PDF Pen for the iPad. Yes, just all kind of good stuff you have to have, folks. You absolutely have to have. Greg, thank you for the time, and thank you for clarifying the purchasing and upgrade situation, and also updating us on the new features.
Great. Thank you very much for having me.
We'll do it again.
Wonderful.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices, the talk of the Mac community, and we will be back again soon with more. Thanks for listening. Mac Voices TV is part of the Mac Voices group and a member of Mac Level 10.